Let me tell you about a light bulb. It sits in a small fire station in Livermore, California, and it has been glowing since the year 1901. Stop and think about that for a second. 1901. Cars were brand new. There were no planes in the sky yet. There was no radio in people's homes. No World War had happened. And this one little bulb was already switched on. It is still on today, more than 120 years later. It has glowed through 2 world wars. It has glowed through the moon landing. It has glowed through every phone, every computer, and every television you have ever owned. The people who made it are long gone. The bulb is still here, still shining. It is not big or bright. It is only about 4 watts now. That is dimmer than the little light inside your fridge. It was made by hand. The glass was blown by a person, not a machine. Inside it is a thin thread called a filament, and that thread has been glowing, quietly, for over 100 years. The little bulb is famous now. It holds the world record for the longest burning light bulb on Earth. It even has its own live camera on the internet. People check on it, day and night, just to see that it is still shining. The firefighters treat it like part of the family. When they once moved to a new station, they carried it in a special box, with a police escort, so nothing could happen to it. Now look up at the lights in your own home. How long do those last? A year? Maybe 2 if you are lucky? Most of us have thrown out a bulb that died in just a few months. So here's the big question. If a bulb from 1901 can burn for over 120 years, why do the bulbs you buy today burn out so fast? Did we forget how to make good ones? No, we did not forget. The truth is much worse than that. The truth is that someone decided your bulbs should die. On purpose. And they made that choice almost 100 years ago, in a locked room, in secret. This is the story of the greatest scam you have never heard of. And it is the reason so much of what you own today is built to fail. To understand the scam, we have to go back to the very start. The light bulb was one of the greatest inventions in all of history. Before it, the world went dark at sunset. People used candles and oil lamps. They were dim, they were dirty, and they could burn your whole house down. Then came the electric bulb, and suddenly, night turned into day. Factories could run after dark. Children could read in the evening. Streets became safe to walk. The whole world changed almost overnight, and people loved it. By the early 1900s, many companies were making light bulbs, and they were getting good at it. Really good. Here is a fact that will surprise you. The early bulbs lasted a long time. Many of them burned for 2,500 hours. Some special ones in tests lasted far longer than that. Remember, that little bulb in California is the proof. Back then, they already knew how to make a bulb that lasted. And the companies were proud of it. They put it right on the box. Our bulb lasts longer than the other guys. A long life was how you won customers. It was a selling point. But then the companies noticed something, and it scared them. A bulb that lasts a long time is a problem. Not for you. For them. Think about it like this. Say you buy one strong bulb, and it lasts 10 years. That means for 10 whole years, you never buy another one. The company makes a single sale, and then waits 10 long years for the next. Now flip it around. Say the bulb only lasts 1 year. Now you come back every single year. You buy 10 bulbs in the time you used to buy just one. Same customer. 10 times the money. The math was simple and cold. A better bulb made them less money. A worse bulb made them more. The companies were trapped by their own success. Their products were simply too good. So the biggest bulb makers in the world got together to fix it. And the fix they came up with would change the whole world of shopping forever. The date was December 23rd, 1924, 2 days before Christmas. The place was Geneva, a quiet, pretty city in Switzerland. Behind closed doors, a group of powerful men sat down at a table. These were not small shop owners. These men ran the largest light companies on the entire planet. There was Osram, from Germany. There was Philips, from Holland. There was General Electric, from America. There was a big company from France, and one from Britain, and even one from Japan. Together, sitting in that one room, they controlled almost all of the light in the world. And they made a deal. A secret deal. They agreed to stop fighting each other and to work together instead. They gave their secret group a name. They called it Phoebus. It sounded fancy and harmless. It was neither. The group had one main rule. The most important rule of them all. From this day on, no light bulb would be allowed to last more than 1,000 hours. Let that sink in. Bulbs at the time already lasted 2,500 hours. So this new rule did not make bulbs better. It made them worse. On purpose. These men agreed, together, to take a good product and break it. Now, you might think a secret deal like that would be easy to cheat. What stops one company from quietly making a better bulb and stealing all the customers? The answer is what makes this story so dark. They built a system to spy on each other. Every company in the group had to send samples of its bulbs to a testing lab in Switzerland. There, the bulbs were switched on and watched. The testers timed exactly how long each bulb lasted, right down to the hour. And here is the twisted part. If your bulb lasted too long, you got fined. You read that right. Companies were punished for making bulbs that were too good. There was even a price list for it. For every 100 hours your bulb lasted over the 1,000-hour limit, the company had to pay a fine. The longer your bulb lasted, the more money you lost. A bulb that lasted 2,000 hours could cost a company a small fortune. So what did the companies do? They put their smartest engineers to work, but not to make the bulbs better. They ordered them to make the bulbs worse. On purpose. The engineers focused on that thin thread inside the bulb. The filament. They made it thinner, more delicate, easier to snap. They hunted for the exact recipe for a bulb that would die right on schedule, not a moment later. And it worked perfectly. Slowly, over the years, bulbs got worse and worse. By the year 1940, the life of a normal bulb had fallen all the way down to 1,000 hours. They had cut the life of the light bulb by more than half. And almost nobody knew it was happening. They did not stop at bulb life, either. They carved up the whole world like a pie. Each company got its own part of the planet to sell in. They agreed not to step on each other's toes. No real competition. No price wars. Just quiet, shared control. And the customer had nowhere else to go. This idea of making things break on time was so powerful that people began to write about it. In 1932, a man named Bernard London wrote a paper about it. But he was not trying to warn people. He loved the idea. It was during the Great Depression, when times were hard and no one was buying anything. London had a plan to fix that. He wanted the government to force it on everyone. He said every product should be given an expiration date. When that date came, it would be against the law to keep using the item. You would have to throw it away and buy a new one. He believed this would keep the factories busy and end the depression. His paper even had a name. He called it Ending the Depression Through Planned Obsolescence. That is the phrase. Planned obsolescence. It sounds complicated, but it means one simple thing. Planning for something to break or to feel old so that you buy another one. Then, in 1954, a designer named Brooks Stevens took the idea even further. He said a product does not even have to break. You just have to make people want the newer one. He described it in a chilling way. He said the goal was to make the buyer want, in his words, something a little newer, a little better, a little sooner than is necessary. A little sooner than is necessary. That one line explains almost everything you feel when a shiny new phone comes out. So let's be clear about who won and who lost in all of this. The companies won. Big time. Every time your bulb died, you walked right back into the store. You paid again, and again, and again. They turned one customer into a customer for life. It was a river of money that simply never stopped flowing. And who lost? You did. You paid more money than you should have, for worse products than you could have had. And the planet lost too. Think of all those dead bulbs, piling up in the trash, year after year after year. All of it on purpose. All of it completely avoidable. The Phoebus Group did not last forever. When World War II broke out in 1939, the world fell into chaos. The countries that made the bulbs were now enemies. And the secret group fell apart. You might think that was the end of the story. It was not. It was only the beginning. The men who ran those companies had learned something. Something they would never forget. They had learned a secret about money. A worse product can earn more than a better one. Once a company learns that lesson, it never unlearns it. The bulb group was gone. But the idea it planted was just getting started. And over the next 80 years, that idea would quietly spread into almost everything you own. Let's jump to today. And let's start with maybe the most hated machine in your whole house. The printer. You buy a printer. It is cheap. Sometimes shockingly cheap. And that should be your very first warning. They do not make their money on the printer. They make it on the ink. Printer ink is one of the most expensive liquids you can buy. Drop for drop, it can cost more than fine perfume. It can cost more than champagne. And the companies guard those ink sales like treasure. So they play tricks. Some printers have a tiny chip hidden inside the ink cartridge. And that chip counts. When it decides the cartridge is empty, the printer stops. But here is the thing. Very often, there is still real ink left inside. The chip just says no. Some printers go even further. They count the pages you print. After a set number of pages, the machine simply stops working. It flashes an error. It acts broken, but it is not broken at all. It was just told to stop. People figured this out. In one famous case, a man got hold of that little counter chip. He wrote a small, free piece of software to reset it. And just like that, the dead printer sprang right back to life. It was never broken. It was only pretending. It was built to fail. Now let's talk about the most valuable company on earth, Apple, and a scandal that got them in trouble all around the world. For years, people noticed something strange. Their older iPhones started to feel slow, sluggish, and it always seemed to get worse right around the time a shiny new iPhone came out. People joked about it, but they figured they were just imagining things. They were not. In late 2017, Apple admitted the truth. They confirmed that they were slowing down older iPhones on purpose. They had hidden the change inside a normal software update, and they did not tell users they were doing it. Now, Apple did have a reason. They said the old batteries were getting weak, and that slowing the phone down stopped it from suddenly shutting off. And maybe that is partly true. But here is the real problem. They did it in secret. They did not tell you. And they did not simply offer you a cheap new battery to fix it. So millions of people felt their phone get slow, decided it was worn out, and went and bought a brand new one, when all it may have needed was a fresh battery worth a few dollars. The world did not take it well. In the United States, Apple agreed to pay around $500 million to settle a lawsuit over it. In France, the government fined them 25 million euros. And in Italy, they were fined too. The official reason given was those two now familiar words: planned obsolescence. The very same idea, born in that bulb meeting back in 1924, had traveled all the way to the phone in your pocket. And it is not just phones and printers. Look around your home. The pattern is everywhere once you know to look for it. It is the washing machine that dies the very month after the warranty runs out. It is the fridge that used to last 30 years, but now gives up at 8. It is the cheap plastic gear hidden deep inside a machine, placed right where it will wear out first. Then there are the consumables. These are the little refills they design you to keep buying forever. The coffee pods, the razor blades, the water filters, the vacuum bags. They will happily sell you the machine itself for cheap, because they know the real money is in what you have to feed it, over and over, for years and years. Different products. The same old trick. Make it break, or make it need refills, so that you keep on paying. And through all of this, that little bulb in California is still glowing. It never got the memo. It was made in 1901, before the secret deal was ever signed. It was built back when made to last actually meant something. A French engineer named Adolphe Chaillet designed it. A company in Ohio made it, by hand. And they built it to last, because in those days, that was simply the point. That bulb is more than just a curiosity. It is evidence. It is living proof of one simple, powerful fact. They can make things that last. The knowledge never went away. They just choose not to use it. Because a thing that lasts forever can only be sold once. But a thing that dies on schedule can be sold again, and again, and again. So what can you do about it? Are you helpless here? No, you are not. The first weapon is simply knowing. Once you understand the trick, you can never be fooled by it in quite the same way again. When your phone slows down, you will think about the battery first. When a printer says it is empty, you will not always believe it. And when something dies right after the warranty ends, you will know that it might not be bad luck at all. It might just be the plan. The second weapon is how you spend your money. You can look for products that are built to be fixed. You can support the brands that let you swap the battery, open the case, or buy the one small part that broke. Every single time you choose a thing that lasts, you cast a vote against this whole rotten idea. And there is good news. All over the world, people are fighting back. It is called the Right to Repair movement. It is a simple, fair push for better rules. Rules that say if you buy something, you should be allowed to fix it. You should be able to get the parts. You should be able to open up the thing you own. And here's the telling part. Big companies are fighting hard against these rules. That alone should tell you just how much they have to lose. So here's where we land. That bulb in Livermore has now been burning for over 120 years. It is not a miracle. It is a message. It is the ghost of a promise that was broken in a locked room, back in 1924. A promise that things could be built to last. They chose money instead. And that one choice is still shaping your life today. It is in your printer. It is in your phone. It is in the fridge in your kitchen. It is in almost everything you buy. But now, you can see it. And once you see the trick, you can never unsee it. This was just one product. One story. On this channel, we are going to pull apart all the rest, one by one. The gadgets, the gear, and the everyday things you trust without a second thought. We are going to open them up and show you exactly how and why they were built to fail. The light bulb never had to die, and neither does the way you shop. So stick around, because there is a whole lot more to uncover.